Some people go through life without a circle of friends. No group chats, no weekend plans, no one to call when something good or bad happens. They exist in a kind of quiet that others find unsettling. To the outside world, this looks like loneliness, maybe even failure. But the reality is far more complex than it appears. These individuals are not necessarily lonely, and they are not necessarily broken. There is a psychology behind having no friends. Research suggests that people without friendships often fall into several distinct categories, some by choice, some by circumstance, some by personality design. Their brains may process social interaction differently. Their needs for connection may be met in ways that don't look like traditional friendship. Their past experiences may have taught them that solitude is safer than companionship. Psychologists distinguish between social isolation and chosen solitude, between loneliness and aloneness, between lacking friends and not needing them in the conventional sense. For some, having no friends is a painful reality they're trying to change. For others, it's a conscious choice that protects their peace. And for many, it's somewhere in between, a complex relationship with connection that defies simple explanation. But here's the interesting part. Society treats friendship like a metric of worth. How many friends do you have becomes a measure of success, of likability, of whether you're living correctly. And anyone who doesn't have friends is automatically assumed to be deficient, awkward, damaged, doing something wrong. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if some people are living fully without fitting the traditional social template? I remember the moment I realized I had no real friends. Not because I'd lost them, but because I'd slowly stopped maintaining connections that felt like work. At first, I felt ashamed, like I'd failed some fundamental human requirement. But then I noticed something. I wasn't lonely. I was actually relieved.
The pressure to show up, to engage, to maintain relationships that felt more obligatory than genuine, it was gone. And in that space, I found something unexpected. Clarity, freedom, a kind of honesty with myself I'd never had when I was performing friendship. That's when I understood having no friends is not always a problem. Sometimes it's a transition. Sometimes it's a choice. Sometimes it's just a different way of moving through the world. Having no friends does not mean being incapable of connection. Sometimes it means being unwilling to settle for shallow connection. And that is something our friendship-obsessed culture struggles to understand. There is a unique psychology shared by many people without friends. They value depth over quantity in a way that makes casual friendship unsatisfying. They would rather be alone than pretend, rather be misunderstood than fake enthusiasm for conversations that bore them, rather protect their energy than drain it on relationships that don't nourish them. Every potential friendship gets evaluated. Every social interaction gets weighed. Every person is measured against an internal standard that most people don't meet. Not because they're judgmental, because they know what real connection feels like, and they refuse to accept less. Scientific studies show that people who are comfortable with solitude often score high in autonomy, self-sufficiency, and internal locus of control. They don't need external validation to feel whole. Their lack of friends is not social failure. It's often social selectivity. But sometimes the world mislabels them. Why don't you have friends? Don't you get lonely?
Something must be wrong if no one wants to be your friend.
These questions carry an assumption that having no friends is evidence of defect rather than difference. Yet, many deeply fulfilled people have no close friends. They have rich internal lives, meaningful work, solitary hobbies, or one or two deep connections that matter more than dozens of casual ones. Maybe that's the hidden truth. Friendship is not a universal need in the same quantity for everyone. It teaches you to distinguish between loneliness and solitude. It teaches you that your worth is not measured in social connections. And it teaches a kind of self-reliance that people dependent on constant companionship never develop. Still, here's a curiosity. If having no friends can be a choice, why does it sometimes feel so painful? Sometimes it's involuntary isolation. They want friends but struggle to make them. Social anxiety makes initiating connection terrifying. Neurodivergence makes reading social cues exhausting. Past trauma makes trust nearly impossible. They watch others form bonds easily and wonder what's wrong with them. Why connection seems effortless for others, but feels like learning a foreign language for them. The loneliness in this case is not about preferring solitude. It's about wanting connection and not knowing how to build it. Sometimes it's betrayal and hurt. They once had friends who disappointed them, who used them, who left when they needed support, who proved that friendship is conditional. So they withdrew, not because they don't value friendship, but because they learned that most people can't be trusted with their vulnerability. Having no friends becomes protection, a wall they built after being hurt too many times. Sometimes it's life transitions. They moved cities, changed jobs, had kids, got sober, went through a transformation that left old friendships incompatible. The people they once connected with no longer understand who they've become, and they haven't yet found people who match their current self. They're in the in-between, not friendless by choice or by flaw, just by circumstance. Sometimes it's high standards. They've experienced deep, authentic connection before and refuse to accept surface-level relationships. They see through small talk. They're bored by gossip. They need conversations about ideas, meaning, existence, things most people avoid. So they wait, alone, holding space for the kind of friendship that actually feeds their soul, even if it never comes. Sometimes it's simply personality. Some people are wired for solitude. Their brains don't crave social stimulation the way others do. Friendship feels optional, not essential. They enjoy their own company more than most people's. They're self-contained in a way that doesn't require external connection to feel whole. And sometimes it's exhaustion. They're tired of performing, tired of managing others' emotions, tired of being the one who reaches out, who plans, who cares more. So they stopped. And when they stopped, the friendships dissolved, which told them everything they needed to know about whether those connections were real. But here's a secret people without friends rarely say out loud. They're not sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. Many are living full lives. They have hobbies, passions, work they care about. They have family or one meaningful connection or a rich relationship with themselves.
They've built a life that doesn't center on friendship. And that life, for them, is enough. Because when you stop measuring your worth by how many people want to spend time with you, you find freedom most people never access. If you are someone who has no friends, you've probably felt judged for it. You've probably been asked, what's wrong with you? Why you can't maintain relationships? Whether you've tried putting yourself out there. As if the absence of friendship is evidence of failure rather than a complex reality with many possible explanations. You've probably felt the shame of admitting you have no one to invite to events, no emergency contact who isn't family, no group chat lighting up your phone. You've probably asked yourself if something is fundamentally broken in you. But what if nothing is broken? What if your path just looks different from what society says it should? What if you're not failing at friendship, you're just living in a way that doesn't prioritize it? Let me shift for a moment from talking about them to talking as one of them. I used to think having no friends made me defective. I'd see people with friend groups and assume I was missing some social skill they had. But then I started examining the friendships I did have, and I realized most of them were draining me. Most were built on proximity or habit, not genuine connection. The few times I'd experienced real friendship, where someone saw me fully and I saw them, it was rare, lightning in a bottle. So I stopped chasing the quantity everyone else seemed to have. I stopped feeling guilty for not having a tribe. And slowly I realized I'd rather have no friends than fake friends. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't really know me. That clarity changed everything. And now it's time to talk directly to you. Because maybe you are one of these people. Maybe you've spent years wondering what's wrong with you for not having the friendships everyone else seems to collect easily. Maybe you've tried to fit into groups that never quite felt right. Maybe you've been hurt by people you thought were friends. Maybe you've just realized you're more comfortable alone.
But you know what? Your lack of friends does not define your worth. Yes, if you're lonely and wanting connection, that's real and valid and worth addressing. But if you're alone and not lonely, that's equally valid. Because the truth is, people without friends aren't all the same. Some are struggling, some are healing, some are choosing, some are waiting, some are simply wired differently. Psychologists say that the need for friendship varies dramatically between individuals. Some people need extensive social networks to thrive. Others need one close person. Others need no one. Your social needs are yours. They don't have to match the cultural template. It doesn't mean you never feel the sting of isolation. Loneliness and chosen solitude can coexist. You can be comfortable alone and still occasionally wish for someone who gets you. Those feelings are not contradictions. They're the complexity of being human. There are moments when having no friends feels like freedom, when you can live authentically without performance or obligation. And there are moments when it feels like exile, when everyone else seems to have what you don't, and you wonder if you're missing something essential. Let's go deeper into the psychology behind this reality.
Number 1, social selectivity and high standards. People without friends often have specific criteria for connection. They won't befriend someone just to have a friend. They need authenticity, depth, shared values. This selectivity protects them from draining relationships, but also limits their options. Number 2, neurodivergence and social processing. ADHD, autism, and other neurodivergent traits can make traditional friendship exhausting. Masking, misreading cues, sensory overload in social settings. Friendship can feel like work, not pleasure. Number 3, attachment wounds and trust issues. Early experiences of abandonment, betrayal, or inconsistent caregiving create difficulty trusting. Friendship requires vulnerability they're not ready to offer. Number 4, introversion and energy management. Deep introverts may find that maintaining friendships depletes energy they'd rather spend on solitary pursuits. The cost-benefit analysis doesn't favor friendship. Number 5. Geographic and circumstantial isolation. Remote living, demanding careers, caregiving responsibilities, or life circumstances that limit social access create practical barriers. Phase of life transitions. Between identities, between places, between versions of self, sometimes you're simply in a period where old friendships don't fit and new ones haven't formed. But here lies a paradox. Sometimes the people with no friends are the most capable of deep connection. They're not socially inept, they're socially discerning. They've simply decided that no friendship is better than mediocre friendship. And when they do connect, when they find that rare person who matches their depth, they're loyal, present, and deeply committed. If you've ever been called picky about friends, while knowing you're just protecting your energy, you understand this. You're not deficient, you're selective, and that's not a flaw. Yet, having no friends doesn't mean you're better than people with many friends. It's not superiority, it's just difference. Some people thrive in community, others thrive in solitude. Neither is more evolved. Here's something personal, and maybe you'll relate. The loneliest I ever felt was surrounded by people who called themselves my friends. The least lonely I ever felt was alone in my apartment, finally honest with myself about what I needed. Friendship, I realized, is not a requirement for a meaningful life. It's one possible path to connection, but not the only one. Now, when someone asks, "Don't you have friends?" I don't apologize, I don't explain. I just say, "Not really," and I'm okay with that. Still, the world will always try to convince you otherwise. Society says friendship is essential, that humans need community to survive, that isolation is dangerous.
And while connection is important, the form it takes is personal. You may not have friends in the traditional sense, but that doesn't mean you're disconnected from life. You might connect through work, art, ideas, nature, animals, or one deep relationship that matters more than 10 shallow ones. And because you don't have friends, you've learned things others haven't. You've learned to sit with yourself, to process alone, to find meaning without external validation. You're the person who doesn't need constant company to feel real, who doesn't need group approval to make decisions, who can stand alone without falling apart. And maybe that makes you rare in a world addicted to belonging. There is a beautiful quality people overlook. Those without friends often develop profound self-knowledge. They spend time with themselves. They know their patterns, triggers, desires. They're not distracted by constant social input. That self-intimacy is something many people never achieve because they never stop long enough to meet themselves. So let me talk to you directly now, clearly, honestly. You are not broken for having no friends. You are not defective. You are not unlovable. You are someone whose path to connection looks different from the cultural norm. And that difference is not a deficit. If you're lonely and wanting friends, that's valid. Work on it. Seek support. Try. But if you're alone and content, stop apologizing for it. Stop letting others make you feel like you're doing life wrong. You don't owe the world a friend group. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're comfortable in your solitude. One day, you might find your person, or people.
the ones who match your frequency, who don't exhaust you, who feel like home instead of work. And those connections will be worth all the years you spent alone rather than settling. Until then, be with yourself. Know yourself. Honor what you actually need instead of what you think you should need. Because people without friends aren't missing out on life. They're living it on their own terms, quietly, authentically, without the noise of connections that don't serve them. Keep walking your path. Keep protecting your energy. Keep refusing to settle for friendships that feel like performance. Because people without friends aren't the problem. They're just honest about what most people won't admit, that not all connection is worth having. And sometimes, the deepest connection you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself.